On October 21, 2025, a historic moment happened in Japan. Sanae Takaichi became the country's first female prime minister. This was a very important day. For the first time, a woman was chosen to lead the nation. Her election showed a big change in Japan's politics. The government was moving towards a stronger, more conservative way of thinking. Before this, Japan had a government partnership for 26 years. The Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, worked with the Komeito Party. But this partnership ended on October 10th. Komeito left because they did not agree with Sanae Takaichi's strong ideas. They disliked her social plans and foreign policy. After the old partnership ended, Sanae Takaichi quickly formed a new one. She made a deal with the Japan Innovation Party. This party shared her conservative views. They both wanted a stronger army and traditional Japanese values. By October 19th, this new group was ready to govern. On October 21st, the National Diet, Japan's parliament, held the final vote. Takaichi won easily in the second round, thanks to her new partners. After her win, Prime Minister Takaichi chose her cabinet. She had promised more women in top roles. But out of 19 ministers, only 2 were women. Satsuki Katayama became Japan's first female finance minister. Countries around the world watched. They wanted to know what this new government meant for Japan. Financial markets showed mixed feelings. Stock prices rose, but the Japanese yen became weaker. Prime Minister Takaichi announced her main goals. She wanted to spend government money to boost the economy. She also planned to change Japan's constitution. She aimed to make the country's military much stronger. She said Japan needed to be ready for big challenges. These were major changes for Japan's future. 2. A different leader. Sanae Takaichi was born on March 7, 1961, in Yamato, Koriyama. This city is in Nara Prefecture, a region famous for ancient temples and farming. It was not a place typically known for producing national leaders. Her father was an automotive mechanic, and her mother worked as a police officer. Unlike many people who become politicians in Japan, Sanae Takaichi did not come from a powerful family with a long history in government. She started her journey without these elite connections, building her own path. Her childhood and schooling reflected her everyday background. She attended Nara Prefectural Unebi High School, a normal public school, not a private one for the wealthy. Later, she gained entry to Kobe University. This was a respected public institution, but it was not seen as one of the elite universities in Tokyo, like Keio or Waseda. Her parents held traditional views, believing a woman's main role was in the home. Because of this, they would not pay for her to attend the more expensive Tokyo schools. So Sanae Takaichi spent 6 hours each day commuting by train to study business administration at Kobe. This daily journey showed her determination. During these university years, Sanae Takaichi's unique personality began to shine. She was not afraid to go against what was typical for young women in the 1980s. She was a skilled drummer and played in a heavy metal band. Her passion was so strong that she would sometimes break her drumsticks during performances. She also loved riding motorcycles, something very unusual for a woman at that time. Additionally, she enjoyed scuba diving, embracing adventurous activities. These hobbies painted a picture of someone who liked to challenge what was expected. She cultivated a reputation for boldness and directness. In a society that often valued conformity and consensus, her choices stood out. From a very young age, Sanae Takaichi showed a temperament that preferred action over quiet agreement. This unusual blend of working-class roots and a defiant spirit would later define her as a political leader. It suggested she was destined to be a different kind of figure on Japan's political stage. 3. Learning from Thatcher. After finishing her business studies, Sanae Takaichi went to the Matsushita Institute of Government and Management. This was a special place that trained people who wanted to become conservative politicians. In 1987, Takaichi decided to move to the United States. She worked there as a fellow in the office of a Democratic politician named Patricia Schroeder. This time in America was very important for her political thinking. She was surrounded by American conservative thinkers who talked about Ronald Reagan's ideas. These ideas focused on strong national power and how the market, not the government, should drive the economy. During these years, Takaichi found a leader she deeply respected, Margaret Thatcher. Thatcher was the Prime Minister of Britain, known as the Iron Lady. Takaichi learned about Thatcher's approach to leadership. Thatcher was very firm with labor unions and believed in strict control over government money. She also supported strong defense spending and made sure Britain's national power was clear. Takaichi saw Thatcher not just as a successful woman in politics, but as a perfect example of strong, uncompromising leadership. She learned that a leader could truly change a country's identity by sticking to conservative values without needing to make many compromises or try to please everyone. This idea of steadfastness resonated strongly with Takaichi. Takaichi always remembered meeting Margaret Thatcher at a symposium in 2013, shortly before Thatcher's death. She described this meeting as having a very big influence on her. It made her even more certain about the kind of leader she wanted to be. In the early 1990s, Sanae Takaichi returned to Japan. She came back with a new vision for her own political career and for Japan. She was ready to bring the lessons she learned from Thatcher to her home country. Starting in politics was hard. She first tried to win a seat in Parliament in 1992, running as an independent. She lost that election. She tried again in 1993, but lost once more. Many people might have given up after 2 defeats, but Takaichi was determined. She quickly got ready and ran for the lower house again in 1996. This third attempt was successful. She won with enough votes to show that Japanese people were ready for her direct and strong conservative ideas. This marked the start of her political journey, shaped by her admiration for Margaret Thatcher. 4. A new government. Sanae Takaichi's first steps into politics were not easy. After returning to Japan, she tried to win a seat in Parliament in 1992, but she lost. She tried again in 1993 and lost a second time. It was not until 1996, on her third attempt, that she finally won an election. Her early defeats showed her strong will and determination to succeed. Once in Parliament, Takaichi quickly built a reputation as a politician with firm conservative beliefs. She was known for taking clear positions, even when they were not popular. For example, she did not support same-sex marriage. She also believed that married couples should use only one family name, typically the husband's. This is a traditional Japanese custom, and Takaichi stood firm on this, even as many people sought the option for separate names. This unvarnished conservatism, as some called it, made her stand out. Her political career grew stronger through a close friendship with former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. He was a very important leader in Japan, known for his conservative agenda. Abe wanted to change Japan's constitution, especially Article 9, which limits Japan from having a full army and going to war. Takaichi deeply believed in Abe's goals and worked hard to continue his plans. She became his loyal supporter and ideological heir, carrying on his vision. After Shinzo Abe was tragically killed in 2022, Takaichi became a leading figure within his political group, known as the Abe faction. She had served in several cabinet positions under his governments and remained deeply committed to his political legacy. Her core ideas were very clear and shaped her path to power. She strongly advocated for changing the constitution so Japan could have a stronger military, which she wanted to call a national defense army. She believed this was vital for Japan's safety in a complex world. She also championed traditional Japanese values, such as maintaining the centuries-old male-only succession for the emperor, despite growing public support for a female emperor. These firm conservative views on national defense, marriage traditions, and the imperial family were central to her rise as a powerful figure in Japanese politics. 5. The Iron Ladies. Sanae Takaichi and Margaret Thatcher are often compared by many people. Both leaders have earned the nickname Iron Lady. This name shows their strong and firm way of leading their countries. Both women were the first female prime ministers in their nations, breaking through old barriers. They both showed a clear vision and were not easily moved from their chosen path, even when others disagreed. Takaichi herself learned about politics in America and deeply admired Thatcher's strong, uncompromising style of leadership. She saw Thatcher as a model for shaping national identity with conservative values. But their ideas on how to manage a country's money are very different. Margaret Thatcher in Britain believed in spending less government money. She wanted the government to have a smaller role in the economy. She worked to control inflation, sell state-owned businesses, and reduce the power of trade unions. Thatcher thought that too much government spending was bad for the economy. She focused on fiscal restraint and making markets freer. Her policies led to job losses but eventually controlled prices. Sanae Takaichi, however, has a different plan for Japan's economy. She supports aggressive government spending. Soon after becoming prime minister, her cabinet approved a huge spending package of 21.3 trillion yen. Takaichi believes this kind of spending is needed to help Japan's economy grow and fight inflation. She has even questioned the central bank's interest rate increases, wanting more monetary support for growth. This is almost the opposite of Thatcher's economic approach. Where Takaichi and Thatcher are more similar is in their foreign policy and national defense. Both leaders are known for their assertive and direct styles. Margaret Thatcher showed her strong will during the Falklands War, using military power to defend British territory. She refused to back down or compromise with Argentina. Takaichi also takes a tough stance on international issues, especially concerning China and Taiwan. She has made it clear that Japan might use its self-defense powers in a situation that threatens an ally. This shows a readiness to act strongly, much like Thatcher. Yet, the challenges Takaichi faces in Asia are very different. She deals with a powerful China that has nuclear weapons, making the risks of her strong statements much higher than Thatcher's situation in the Falklands. So, while both are iron ladies in their leadership style and foreign policy, their economic ideas are worlds apart. 6. A woman's place. Sanae Takaichi made history by becoming Japan's first female prime minister. Many people might think that a woman leader would bring new rights and opportunities for other women. However, her actions and beliefs about women's roles often seem to go against this idea. This presented a strange and complex problem in her leadership, raising questions about her approach to gender politics. When she formed her new government, she had made public promises. She said she wanted to put many women in important positions, sometimes speaking of achieving levels like those in Nordic countries. But in the end, her cabinet had 19 ministers. Only 2 of them were women. One of these, Satsuki Katayama, became Japan's first female finance minister, a truly symbolic appointment. Still, the very small number of women in her government showed the limits of her commitment to gender equality and power. Takaichi also held strong conservative views on traditional family rules. In Japan, the law requires married couples to choose one family name, which in practice is almost always the husband's name. This means most women change their last name after marriage, losing their birth identity. Many young people and a large part of the public, over 70% of younger voters, now want couples to be able to keep their own names if they wish. But Takaichi strongly disagreed with this change, believing it was vital to maintain the old ways for family unity. Her traditional ideas also influenced her stance on the imperial family. Most Japanese people, nearly 90%, now believe that a woman should be allowed to become the empress if there are no male heirs. Even Emperor Naruhito has expressed concern about the shrinking number of male imperial family members. Yet, Sanae Takaichi supported the centuries-old rule that only men can take the throne. She also showed no interest in challenging other old traditions, such as the ban on women from entering the sacred sumo wrestling ring, a rule based on ancient beliefs about purity. Therefore, while she was a woman in the highest office, her leadership was not about expanding rights or challenging gender hierarchies for many Japanese women. Instead, she often stood firmly by traditional Japanese values and rules, even when public opinion was changing significantly. This highlighted a distinct and traditional view of a woman's place within her vision for Japan's future. 7. Japan's new plan. Sanae Takaichi, as Japan's new prime minister, had big plans for the country's future. She quickly announced 3 main goals. First, she wanted to help the economy grow. Second, she aimed to change Japan's constitution. Third, she planned to make the country's army stronger. These were not small changes. They would deeply reshape Japan's identity after many years of quiet policies. To boost the economy, Takaichi's government approved a very large spending plan. This plan was worth 21.3 trillion yen, or about 135 billion US dollars. It was the biggest spending package since the time of the COVID-19 pandemic. Takaichi believed that Japan needed to spend more government money, not less, to solve its economic problems. Many people on the stock market felt happy about this, expecting more economic activity. However, some others worried about the large amount of new debt this plan would create. They also noted that the Japanese currency became weaker against other currencies. Another major goal was to change the country's constitution. Japan's constitution, written after World War II, says that Japan gives up war and cannot have a military. Takaichi wanted to change this part, Article 9. She planned to rename the self-defense forces to a National Defense Army. This would make Japan's military role much clearer. She wanted to remove the part that renounces war. Her new government coalition had agreed to start talks about these constitutional changes. Takaichi also showed a tough stance on foreign policy, especially towards China. Soon after becoming prime minister, she spoke about a possible Chinese military action against Taiwan. She stated that such an event could threaten Japan's own safety. This kind of statement was very direct. Past Japanese leaders usually spoke more carefully about this topic. China reacted strongly to Takaichi's words. Chinese officials used harsh language and threatened Japan. They even suggested that Chinese people should not travel to Japan. At the same time, Japan faced new challenges from America. Donald Trump had become president again in November 2024. His return brought new uncertainty for Japan and other allies. President Trump often asked countries like Japan to pay more for their own defense. Takaichi's desire for a stronger Japan might fit with President Trump's demands. However, it also risked Japan's security plans moving in a different direction from America's interests. This could make the region less stable. 8. A new Japan? Sanae Takaichi's time as prime minister truly shows what a new Japan might look like. Her leadership marks a big change for the country. For many years after the Second World War, Japan was known for being a quiet nation. It focused on peace and building its economy. Now Takaichi is leading Japan towards a different path, one with stronger, more traditional ideas. This means Japan is becoming more open about its national power and its history. This shift is a decisive move towards a harder form of conservative politics, challenging the careful balance of the past. Her becoming the first female prime minister is a historic moment. However, it is important to understand what it truly means. Her rise to power is mainly about conservative ideas getting stronger in government. It is not so much about expanding rights for all women in society. Takaichi shows a very strong and firm leadership style, much like Margaret Thatcher did in Britain. Both leaders are known for their strong will and not changing their minds easily. But there are key differences. For example, Takaichi wants the government to spend a lot of money to boost the economy, which is very different from Thatcher's focus on spending less. Takaichi has big plans to change Japan's constitution. She wants to allow Japan to have a stronger military, moving away from the peace rules that have been in place for a long time. She also uses strong language when talking about other countries, especially China. This new, tougher stance creates many challenges, both for Japan and its neighbors in Asia. It questions the very identity Japan has held since the war, which was about peace and diplomacy and the rule of law. The story of the Iron Camellia, a nickname given to Takaichi, is just beginning. This name suggests her strong will, but also the complex and sometimes hidden aspects of her leadership. Her government is actively pushing for big changes that will make Japan more nationalistic. It aims for the country to rely more on its own military strength and be more assertive on the world stage. This is a clear pivot from the consensus-driven post-war order. This new direction makes the future of Japan uncertain. Many people wonder what these changes will bring. Will Japan become a more powerful country that can stand up for itself? Or will these new policies create more problems and instability in the region? The quiet, consensus-driven way of the past is quickly receding. Japan is moving towards a path that few expected. The future of Japan is now uncertain. What do you think Takaichi's new plans will mean for Japan in the coming years?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world,